Hey, what's up guys? Crazy Cowboy here. So today I'm going to be talking about the new starters that are going to be coming to Pokémon Legends Z-A. I know a lot of people have different theories on it, and this is my take on it for the time being. So, we know right off the bat that we're not going to be seeing Cyndaquil, Oshawott, or Rowlet. Now, the reason I haven't put the Gen 9 starters is because, well, frankly, they didn't do it with Legends Arceus using the newest Galar ones. However, they did use Gen 7. So under that assumption, I just didn't leave them on there for the sole fact that they were just definitely not an option. Even though, I'll be honest, I would love to have seen either a new Skeledirge or a Quaquaval or a Masquerade. It'd been interesting. Another aspect that I think we should X out is just, well, all of Gen 6 as a whole, since the region's going to be based on them. However, those three are going to be a whole separate issue, because I believe we're going to be seeing them as our new Megas. I don't think the Megas we're going to get are going to be for the starters that we choose at the beginning of the game, because those are going to get their own regional forms, versus these three who are going to be getting Chespin Mega, Fennekin Mega, and a Feroki Mega, due to the fact that we never got them in X and Y, so I could see them being the prime leads for Megas this time. Since we had gotten two starters in X and Y, I can expect this time we're going to be seeing them as our second starter, more or less, or having the ability to get them and receive a Mega. But I digress. We'll go continuing on with what I believe. So with them gone, I'm also gonna say that Chikorita and Totodile are gonna be gone, including Tepig, Snivy, and the rest of the Alolan starters. Now, my thought process behind this is the fact that they've already taken one Pokemon from that region, and I think they want to try to continue to share the love of showing these other regions appreciation by giving them a new regional form before they double take and go back into one of the previous regions. I myself would be interested to see a Totodile or Chikorita due to the fact that, you know, they're more or less one of the more tame starter evolution lines where nothing really changes too much. But on top of this, I also don't think Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, because they've always worked as a trio, where if one of them gets something the others do. The only exception for that would be Charizard's 2 Megas versus the other 3, or the other 2 only having 1. So I'm under the assumption that we're not going to see one of those 3 as a regional starter anytime soon. So, to continue with that, I think these 9 right here, that being Trico, Turtwig, Grookey, Torchic, Charmander, Scorbunny, Mudkip, Piplup, and Sobble being our prime leads. And continuing with the thought process of being in the Kalos region, I think that what we really need to be looking at is what can draw some inspiration for the thematic ancient France, effectively. And something about ancient France, well, maybe not ancient, but early history France had 3 different classifications, or 3 estates, as they called them, with the first being the clergy, the second being the royalty, and the third being the middle class, or the merchants, and just basically everybody else that was right below them. I'm a little bit doubtful of Pokemon delving into the clergy, more or less, just because they don't really talk about that too much in any of their games. However, the only game that did kind of emphasize on a belief system, religion, realistically, was Legends Arceus, with 2 clans that, you know, believed in different creation. So it's possible, I would say, that they might do something under that theme, but We're gonna focus on the other two first, before going into another idea like that. So, with that in mind, the second estate being that of the people nobility, I would think, from what we have here, I think a Pokemon that could really embody the ideas of nobility would be that of Sceptile here, or in this case, Trico. So taking out Turtwig and Grookey, I think we could have ourselves a Sceptile that embodies those aspects of this old royalty of Kalos, the people that were there, that were starting the project of the urbanization of the land itself. Since this is seen as the urbanization project, so everyone's moving from Royal Kalos into the center, and we're getting these huge flocks of people, and so someone has to be in charge. And in this case, I think a Sceptile with a fairy grass combo would be really interesting to kind of portray this idea of royalty. And the reason I say fairy is, you know, when you think of royalty, when you think of a king or queen, you think of something in power. And in Pokemon terms, realistically, one of the best typings in the game right now is fairy. So giving that type combination, I think, would really be fitting for it. On top of the fact that you can put some interesting designs with a fleur-de-lis, possibly on Sceptile's arm, since he already has the 2 leaves that project out in either direction. I think that would be a really interesting design. And, you know, maybe a flower or two. Realistically, fairy-type Pokemon don't really have a big theme around all of them. I mean, you got stuff like Grimmsnarl, Zacian, and Granbull. So there's a lot of them that don't really have a specific theme around it, by maybe like a little bit of a floral color pattern, or maybe a pink or a flower, but there's nothing that really ties them all together. So I think it can be pretty creative with a new Sceptile following its big tree behind Steeltail. Continuing into that thought process, we can go into our fire starter now. I think Infernape has a pretty good chance with what we have here. That being said, I could see why they would choose Scorbunny in this case, due to the fact that it doesn't have another type combination as well. So I'm a little bit hesitant on this one. But theming wise, the reason why I would say Infernape is due to the fact that it is also firefighting. And so possibly going back on that process and making it not that. Going back on that and making Infernape focused on the theme of the urbanization of the country. So we can see something with the urbanization of the pollution, the toxic debris that's being left behind, the factories being made, the buildings being like, it takes a lot to build this, and people bring a lot with them, their trash. So we can see a fire poison Infernape. Maybe he has black smoke coming out of his head now, or a purple or green fire. Instead of the gold on his arms, it would now be like a rusted iron. Because the Eiffel Tower itself is made of iron. So Lumiose City, you know, as pristine as it is, during that process, you could imagine that they were using a lot of different materials at the time to create it all. So you could see a little bit of a toxic monkey. So, with that being said, Torchic and Scorbunny out of the race, which leaves us with our water types. Now, I don't think Mudkip is going to be chosen, since I've already taken it with Trico. Not Piplup, so this leaves us with Sobble. I think Sobble is going to be in a really interesting situation right now, where it could have the prime lead of being a really good staple for the people of Kalos. In this case, or that of the Pokemon. Because we're set in a time when the Pokemon and the humans were fighting against each other, so this could really show off the Pokemon that's more or less the the gun Pokemon, can kind of have a little bit of shine in this war that they're dealing with. And having him be a musket revolutionary-esque Pokemon with the water and ground typing, I think would be really neat. Because you have to think of it like this. This is like probably not a clean war by any means, because as we all know, a Pokemon fighting a person just sounds crazy. The fact there's a whole war going on, they're not going to be fighting good. They're going to be fighting dirty. And so Sobble being this, Teleon being a ground water type sounds pretty interesting. But yeah, that's my idea right now of these three with these three typings. Let me know what you think. If you think there's another grouping of some of these Pokemon that have a better chance of getting a combination, or if you think these typings are fitting for the theme of the game and the megas that we should be seeing, that of the Gen 6 starters. Let me know in the comments. Go ahead, leave a like, and subscribe for more content.